Classic Business with Michael Avery.
Welcome to Accrued Interest here on Classic Business, your weekly account of the banking and insurance sectors. Now, when you consider that roughly a third of South African cars are insured only and around 80% of South Africans are considered underinsured, there's clearly room for growth in the local insurance industry. On the face of it, South Africa has a really robust and competitive insurance sector. There are more than 170 odd companies playing in the space. But if you dig a little deeper, it does become evident that it's actually quite concentrated and difficult to break into as a new entrant. Well, in today's tough economy, that's where the idea of an insurance marketplace is starting to emerge, because wherever you can, South Africans are looking to save, and the insurance industry is no different. And to talk about this, I'm joined now by Viz Govender, who's the co-founder of a South African insuretech called Everything.Insure. And it really is built around this concept of an insurance marketplace. Viz, great to have you on the show. Firstly, tell us a little bit more about your background before we talk about the concept of what an insurance marketplace is.
Hi, Michael, and thanks for having me. My personal background, I've been in the industry, banking and insurance for better part of 30 years. It was the very first industry I got into after university, and I'm still here. And it's been it's been an enjoyable career. I started with a large German insurer and spent quite a few years there, about a decade, and I left them as part of their executive team, and then moved to one of our large banks, Nedbank in fact, and helped them build their insurance business. And that was another decade or so, and then decided to get out of corporate, and a bunch of colleagues and myself wanted to go and do it for ourselves, so to speak. The stuff that's difficult to do in corporate, the innovative stuff, we decided to go and do it ourselves, and that's when we founded First Equity Insurance Group, amongst a few other businesses.
In a very brief nutshell, but effectively, I mean, you're steeped in the insurance industry, and one might tag on to that CV the designation of veteran. I hate it when that title is used, but I think in this case, it's warranted. It's hard earned. You saw this gap in the market. So can you just explain the concept, firstly, of what an insurance marketplace is for our audience and how it differentiates from traditional insurance purchase processes?
The marketplace, is the word. It means exactly what we know it to be in other contexts. Like a supermarket where you get an array of products that's presented to you and allows you to engage with it, look, touch, feel it, compare the prices, compare the features and the benefits of them, and then make a buying decision. So an insurance marketplace is new. And from our knowledge and all the research, we try to keep on top of this in terms of what the developments are around the world. We were the first, as a true marketplace, and we distinguish marketplace from brochure. There's a lot of online brochure sites that give you details about products, which is great. It's very informative, very useful, and it allows you to do some comparisons. But the minute you want to actually transact, you've got to go offline and analog and call center and paper and the rest of it. So what we set out to do was to complete that digital self-service online journey, so allow you to digitally engage with products, different insurers, different products, different categories of product, everything from house, car to business to professional indemnity, travel, pet, the range, and then choose them, compare them right down to the finest detail. And then when you found one that you liked, we even allow you to customize it, which is nice, and then buy it. So you can buy online, and when you click the last mouse click, you are covered then and there.
So how does the model work then? Are you tied to any particular insurance group? Are you completely independent and just offering this marketplace where consumers can come in and look at the various insurance products on offer and pick one off the shelf that suits them? How does the model work?
We're independent, so there are other insuretechs out there. A lot of insurance companies have digitized their own products and allow you to buy their product. And that's also very useful. You can buy their product. So it's a single product that you can buy that belongs to the company that owns the digital shop, if you so want. We've created a marketplace where everyone's products can be displayed and can be bought. And we 100% independent. We've got no funding. We've got no relationship, no equity ownership or anything to that effect for many of the insurers or the product providers on our marketplace. So yeah, completely independent. But we've obviously got contractual relationships in the same way, in the same way Pick and Pay is independent from the people whose products they sell, but they have a contractual relationships with those people in terms of supplying the product and taking the product back if there's an issue and so on and so forth. So we have contracts to sell those products, but we are completely independent.
Yeah, it's almost in the insurance space like having this digital broker who's independent but can go and offer you an array of different products for you to go and choose and to make things easy for you. Let's just come back, because it's a great idea to the development of this and leaving corporate and seeing that there's this huge opportunity. But then going out and executing, often that's where the detail lies, and the devil is in that detail, and where challenges arise. And often when you talk about insuretechs or fintechs, they're new to the market. They want to dance with all the big players. The big players might look at them and bat their eyelids for a little bit, but then walk away. How have you found building an insuretech in what, to my earlier point in the introduction, is still quite a concentrated South African market? What's your experience been?
In terms of the concentration, it is a concentrated market. And, if you compare the South African market to some of the other markets, EU, US, Asia, we're not a massive market. So some of the concentration is a function of the size of the market. There's only so much of business to go around. So that's the first point maybe to be made around concentration. But aside from that, it is very difficult. We've had a number of small startup insurers, not insuretechs, but traditional insurers over the last 15, 20 years who've come and who've tried and who've either, failed and shut their doors or had to be bought out. And I can give you lots of examples of that, had to be bought out by the larger guys, the Santams, the Hollards, the Old Mutuals, what is now Bright, etc. It's difficult for a small niche insurer to survive out there. So that's the other source of the concentration. And the difficulty is because, one, capital, there's very onerous capital requirements, and two, compliance and regulation is very significant. We're a sophisticated market from a financial services point of view, very sophisticated, on par with, and in some instances, more sophisticated than some of the EU and the US markets. So with that, and it's expensive. And our regulator is an excellent regulator. The FSCA is an excellent regulator, and they're constantly raising that bar. So the cost of compliance is very significant. I can go back to my days at Nedbank. As some simple compliance changes would cost us hundreds of millions of rands. Literally hundreds of millions of rands, and the smaller guys can't afford that. It's too onerous. So that's where I suppose a lot of the concentration comes to the fore, and executing on an idea to digitize the insurance business. We probably had some of these ideas going back to my days at Allianz, and that was 20 odd years ago. And we tried then to do some of this, and we probably got 80 to 90% of the way and just couldn't fully execute. I think technology at the time wasn't able to. So when I had another go at it now, which now has resulted in Everything.Insure, it started off as an idea. We said there's got to be a better way to do this. I mean, there really has got to be a better way to do this. And we embarked on something. It was a specific product together with a large insurer for one of the very large banks. And we were trying to digitize that. And we did. And we started with that and said, okay, so we can now move from here to a marketplace. And I was telling you, Michael, what we estimated time and money wise, it's been orders of magnitude more than that. So it was difficult and longer and more expensive, but we stuck to it, and finally got it there.
Yeah, well, that is that's the entrepreneurial way, isn't it? You often take what you expect it's going to be and you can multiply it by an order of magnitude sometimes. Let's come back to now, the rise of insuretech transforming the insurance landscape in South Africa. And I've seen some great innovation. Guardrisk, for example, using their sell captive approach to partner with fintechs to say, right, yes, compliance is essential and you've got to have it, but it's costly. So, why don't you piggyback off our sell captive license and, we can partner with you if you want to innovate. How are you seeing the broader ecosystem innovating to overcome some of these barriers that ultimately will benefit not only the insurance industry, but ordinary South Africans to overcome this rates of underinsurance that we see in the country?
I mean, underinsurance in the country and in the, across the continent is chronic. We've got single-digit penetration in most of Africa. South Africa is higher for certain products and quite low for others. You started off, the fact that 1 in 3 cars on our road is insured has been the case when I started in this industry.
Yeah.
And it hasn't changed. 2/3 of cars on the road not being insured hasn't changed, and that's for a few reasons. There's obviously affordability, and it's a chicken and egg situation. The industry needs a lot more insured people and insured cars, and that'll drive prices down. And prices right now are too high for 2/3 of people. That's the one issue. The other issue is access, the ability to actually get to buy a product. And the third thing is probably education and knowledge. There's a huge part of our population that are not included. They're financially excluded because they're not even aware of the fact that there are these products.
Yeah.
And secondly, how to go about getting them. So some of them will know about them, can't afford them, and a lot of them just don't know about them. So insurance, it's a cliche in our industry. We say insurance is sold and not bought, and it's a grudge purchase and all of that. And it's a fact. If you look at the life industry, it was somebody knocked on the door and sold a policy to you. You had to get to the door. Now, it's very difficult. It's not worth the trouble to get to a lot of doors in the country. It's just too expensive a distribution model that way. And that's, I think, one of the problems insuretech is solving. It's putting products within reach of millions more people now without needing to send somebody to knock on that door. So that's one of the things that's changing dramatically. It's the accessibility. And with that different distribution model, we are seeing we are able to price differently. So prices are coming down because of that efficiency.
Yeah.
And then it's the rest of that value chain or life cycle, which is also digital, which significantly reduces the cost of serving that customer. I mean, an example in our traditional part of our business, the non-insured tech part of the business, a typical, let's call him a typical client service broker would probably be able to handle, depending on the type of policy, so these are very broad strokes, maybe 500 to 700 clients, one person with an admin backup. With insuretech, we take that to 3,000 to 4,000 policies that can be handled because everything is done automatically and digital itself. So all of that efficiency has certainly changed access and changed pricing models and changed how customers can engage with with this product, and it's less of a grudge. And can be bought as opposed to needing to be sold,
Yeah. And I mean, it's a grudge until the day that you actually need the cover. And then you go and you look at it and you think, oh, thank goodness that's covered, be it from a life perspective, if you're facing the terrible dread disease circumstances that some people may encounter, or you're in a car accident or have something stolen. We've all kind of been there in the more formal market, but your point is very well made about the broad majority in the country. And I quite support the idea of a more mandatory approach to third-party insurance for motor vehicles. On the other side, we need to also address overselling and mis-selling of funeral policies, for example. I meet some people who've got 10 funeral policies, and you just think, well, what is going on here? And hopefully, we can look at that side of the equation as well. Just lastly, Viz, I've got to have you back on the show because I do think insuretech is a great example of the way technology is changing financial services. Now, what is the future now for you? Because it's a great platform the thing is, you've got to get people aware of it and to talk about it, because, I mean, yes, the distribution takes over once you're on the platform. How are you solving for that particular part of your entrepreneurial journey?
Okay, so there's a few things to be said. One, the platform is now built, and that's fantastic. And a big thing that the platform does, besides allowing people to buy, that's almost the tip of the iceberg, the part you see above the waterline. Everything below that is the stuff that enables insurers and brokers and the rest of them. So we can take a product and we can digitize that product in hours and days, as opposed to what used to take us months and years to build a product into our systems. So we are able to now just build our inventory, and we're continuing to build inventory to bring more and more and more products that are relevant to people online, and more choices. So we're bringing more categories of product like professional indemnity or travel insurance or pet insurance or business insurance. And then we're giving you more choices of travel insurance or pet insurance or business. So that's the first thing we're doing. So we're creating the true choice marketplace. And then the second thing is how do you get the message out there? What we don't want to do is carpet bomb South Africa with billboards. Some of our competitors have done that, and that's one that's very expensive. It might be, might raise a smile as you're driving in the traffic, but we don't find that, efficient. We don't think that's efficient, and we're not planning to do that. So there's some campaigns we're starting, some select billboards that will, tell people about us. And then we're doing quite a lot online. We've been running education campaigns online in LinkedIn and in Instagram and Facebook and all of those places, and we've been getting massive traction. Each one of our posts have been getting 50, 60,000 views, which is quite a lot per post. So that's getting us out there. And we're starting to do some more, traditional digital marketing, and we're getting traction. We're getting traction, and all of it. This is a dark art that I'm learning about, and the team's learning about. Google and Facebook and all these Meta, they keep changing the algorithm daily almost. So and you got to keep step with them. So we've invested a lot in our ability to get digital intel of what's working and what's not working in our campaigns, and we're starting to see some nice traction there.
Fantastic. Well, Viz Govender, we're going to have you back on the show to talk about the ins and outs of insuretech, but very interesting hearing your co-founder's journey building South African insuretech, Everything.Insure, an insurance marketplace where South African consumers are really empowered when shopping around for insurance and helping with the issue of underinsurance. And it's just so interesting to hear the role that technology is playing in giving us the choice within a space that has, let's face it, been still pretty stuck in some traditional ways in the past. You're listening to Classic Business. You're listening to Classic Business with Alex